The Diesel Performance Podcast contains explicit language.
Thank you for joining us again. This is Paul Wilson.
And I'm Danny Voss.
And you're listening to the Diesel Performance Podcast. We've had some real killers here lately, huh, Danny? I mean, as far back as the sled pull operator with Tom Van Heusen.
Well, we had Caden Hess. We had a couple truck advisors.
Caden Hess, that was a blast. Absolutely. That was a big shout out to Chris Emke for helping out with Caden. And then, the Truck Buyer's Guide 2.0, where Danny really got a chance to lay down some of his knowledge about how to buy a truck, what to look for, some real good insider information from 7 years of, we'll just say dealership background instead of my usual hateful, spiteful scumbag talk.
I would have went longer, but Paul, you kind of cut me off at 40 minutes, I think. On that episode.
No, it was fine. I was like, dude, nobody cares. No, I'm just joking. Everybody cares. That's why we did the episode. Today, though, we are really excited to welcome Nick Priegnitz.
Hello, Paul.
How's it going? Great. And Tim Slater.
How you doing?
You know, I was just thinking back, guys, so I was looking through our original episodes. Nick, you were guest number 1, and Tim, you were guest number 2.
It was a match made in heaven, wasn't it?
Absolutely.
It'll stay that way after this episode. Yeah. 1 and 2, right?
So today we have you guys in because we're doing a 30K budget build. And this is kind of a rehash. Originally, way back in the day, we did a 15K budget build. I was actually one of the guests on that episode. So I stood up for Duramaxes there. Chris Emke did Cummins for us, and we called in Pete Shibby of WC Fab to handle our Powerstroke needs. Scott, our old co-host, went ahead and picked Shibby, regardless of logic or reasoning to my defense.
There was no logic in the end of that.
Right. But he did have a good presentation. And
no
that
offense,
counts.
Pete.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll dig into that.
Right. Danny has some different opinions on this. So Danny is you were not present for that episode. You just went back and listened to it like a regular listener. Mm-hmm. What were your thoughts?
I'd really like to talk about that later in the show.
Oh, okay. Danny's got a little card up his sleeve.
Someone's pretty excited to get started.
I got to tell you, I've been avoiding Nick all week because I didn't want to talk to him about this show because I didn't want to give him any pointers what's going on. So sorry, Nick, for avoiding you.
He really just didn't want to remind you to prepare for it.
Dude, I'm about to eat your lunch, Danny.
So for all of our listeners, 30K budget build, here's the deal. We basically gave everybody a hypothetical $30,000 check. Said go buy a truck, build it, make as much horsepower as you can. It's got to be a minimum of 750 horse. So you got a 750 horse. We're going to have Tim do Powerstrokes because that's his specialty. Nick's going to handle Duramaxes. And Danny, a little bit outside of your comfort zone. Not a lot of history with Cummins, but you are handling the 30K budget build for Cummins, huh?
I've got a pretty good history of building friends' Cummins with them and helping them out. So I've been there and done that. That's why I stepped up and said I would like to do that.
We all know a friend who's made a bad decision and bought a Cummins or a Powerstroke. So
they're not friends with me anymore.
Not going to say I'm slightly biased towards Duramaxes. So I wanted to leave some parameters for myself for picking a winner, right? So I have not told any of the 3 guests here today that these are the parameters, kind of what we're looking for. Is the big thing is what would I buy at the end of this, right? So you came up with 30K. You were able to go out and buy a truck. What would I do my build the same way you're presenting it? So we're going to do real quick. We're going to run around the room. You're going to give us a quick rundown, so just a real brief overview of your truck. So all I want is your truck, what year it is, and what your horsepower expectation is. And then we're going to go around and give everybody a chance to break down their entire build.
Okay.
So, Tim, we'll start with you.
Okay, I found a 2004 Ford 6-liter automatic, 125,000 miles. That's what we're working with.
Okay. Almost identical to our last one. I think Shibby's was an 03, but that's awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. What is your horsepower? We'll call it estimate.
We'll say 750. That was our target, right?
750 for the target. Okay, right on the money. Danny boy, what do you got?
I found an 06 5.9, rust-free, and has the only thing I didn't like about it was 290,000 miles, but I'm going to definitely dive into why I chose it. And my horsepower is going to be right around 950 rear-wheel horsepower.
Ooh, throwing out some big... You know he's a fucking car salesman because he threw in rust-free. Hey, listen, I want to tell you it's a Mint 1 owner.
Yeah, it helps with the horsepower, doesn't it?
We all know he hasn't seen this vehicle.
Actually, to be honest with you, I went and saw this truck. I have spent way too much time on this episode, and that's why I'm going to destroy you guys today. I'm a
Danny's
professional.
wife is ready to divorce him. He's ready to win Budget Build episode.
I knew I had some big dogs here to go against, and the bigger the dog, the bigger the bite.
All right.
And I had to come prepared.
I love it. Nick, what do you got?
Well, I also chose an 06, and I also chose a 290,000 mile truck. So Danny and I are on the same digs there. I got an LBZ crew cab, a nice black truck. I don't know if it's rust free, but the pictures look nice. Fully loaded unit, and I am looking for just shy of 750. I want to nose up to 750.
Okay, playing it on the cautious side. I think it is funny. You guys might not know this at home. Nick only owns black and white vehicles. There's 2 charcoal grays in there, and they were an accident. There was no black or white available when he went to go buy them.
I just want to state that I noticed that the Cummins guy is shooting way above what our minimum was set for.
He's a fucking Cummins guy, of course.
I will get into that. So
Shows up with his dick just hanging out of his pants.
As I look around the room, everybody looks to have brought out printed material. I want to let all of our listeners know, go back and listen to the 15K budget build, and you will hear ruffling papers from only the winner. So it is nice to see everybody is much more prepared than last time.
And, of course, you're going to share these in the show notes.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So the great part here is you will actually be able to go on to dieseltunersblog.com and download all of the show notes. Danny has a special offer. He's going to write up a specific blog for this, so you guys will be able to read the article on the Calibrated Power Facebook page and then actually download and request some more information, be able to work with Danny specifically on that.
And if you would like the same build on your 06 Cummins or 06 Duramax or 03, you can call me and let me know.
So we're going to kick it off here. Tim, walk me through your truck. Walk me through your build.
Okay. Now, the last 2 times I was here, we totally winged it, and this is the first time I've had to prepare anything, so I get a little windy. First, let me state for the record that this is a competition to prove the possibility of the build and is in no way a recommendation from Centurion or myself on the proper way to do the build. Now that we have that part out of the way, as a lot of you know, I have an affliction for crew cab long bed white trucks, and the truck that I found is a crew cab long bed white 6-liter. I was going to cheat and put my 305,000 mile truck up on Craigslist for $4,000, but I didn't have to, and I found this one for $5,500.
My God.
It was
Fucking asshole.
It's relatively local, wherever the hell Gilman, Illinois is. And for the fact checkers out there, the post ID is number 57970686110. I would not want to be caught lying on the debate stage. Now
you're the only fact checker we have. You're the
okay. Just good to know. Good to know. You never pay the asking price on Craigslist, so I figured $4,750 would do the trick. And I think we all can agree that less than 10% off of the asking price on Craigslist is pretty reasonable.
All right.
All right, suffice to say there's a few more things you must consider before attempting 700 rear-wheel horsepower build. 1, are you in debt up to your eyeballs? Do you make good, consistent money? Do you have a job? Are you attempting to get financing to build this project? Are your parents co-signing on that loan? And probably the last question, do you plan on making this your daily driver? If your answer to that question is yes, please make sure you are under the age of 25. Now that we have all the important things out of the way, let's get on to the build. So we have an automatic 6-liter. We all know that the torque shift is a very robust transmission and could probably handle a few pulls at 750 horsepower in stock trim. However, I'm an overachiever, and I would like to see this thing go 50 or 100,000 miles without having any problems. With that, we turn to Suncoast for their competition transmission with billet shafts, modified clutches, valve body, pump assembly, and a triple-disc billet-back torque converter. While I was using the voice text to write these notes, I'd like to add that it auto-corrected torque converter to talking burger.
That makes more sense.
Yeah.
That actually makes more sense. That seems logical.
Sounds cheaper.
It's a little bit cheaper, and we'll get to that. We have used this transmission a lot in trucks, and nothing beats its consistent, smooth power it puts to the ground, and the price for this setup is about $79.50. As long as we're talking about beefing up our components to handle the power, let's get to the core of the engine. We don't have to mention more than once that the cylinder heads are going to need to come off and get modified to handle the boost in power output.
Hold on, nobody wants to
many
mention
times?
that more than once.
More than once. We don't really need to, right? I mean, we all pretty much know that. It's a given. Another item that's close to deforming under that power would be the connecting rods. We have seen 6-liters make that kind of power, and eventually they bend connecting rods. So we're just going to, for the sake of competition, go ahead and talk about changing those. Now, of course, we have to pull the engine. We're talking about doing head gaskets. We're talking about doing connecting rods. I'm going to go against everything that I preach about at Centurion and pull the engine out through the front of the truck because ratchet straps and forklifts and skid steers are all cool, but I think probably in this case we're going to risk a lot less by pulling the engine out through the front. So with that, we're going to use a cheesy 1.5-ton engine lift, and then we're going to bolt that engine to an even cheesier engine stand. And from there, we're going to strip it down so that we can get to the connecting rods. HyperMax makes a very proven connecting rod for $3,250. This rod was used in their Bonneville truck that went over 200 miles an hour, and that too was a 6-liter. Normally, since I went through the work to tear the engine out, I would tear apart to put connecting rods in it. I would then go through and do a freshen up, which includes rings and bearings and probably oversize the pistons and bore and hone the block. However, because this truck only has 125,000 miles on it and we're on a budget build, we're not going to do that. But with the block stripped, I'm going to take it over to Headline Performance and have them O-ring the deck surface to prepare for HyperMax's 3-ring race gasket set. This gasket is about $1,250 and is reusable should the heads ever need to come off again, but I can't see any reason why that would ever need to happen.
Right. No,
Yeah.
6.0's never had multiple head problems with one truck, right?
Now, before I bolt the cylinder heads back onto the short block, I will also have Headline Machine do a valve job and deck the surface of the cylinder heads. Total machine work is going to end up at about $900, assuming that there's no seat or guide or valve damage to the cylinder heads, and with the mileage on the heads, it's safe to say that they're going to be just fine. Now, because so many people are giving away stock head bolts for the 6-liter, I don't have to buy any. And because of the head gasket I'm using, we're not going to use studs. We're going to use stock bolts. And I'm going to get them basically for free. I'm going to give whoever has got them a 6-pack of PBR, and that's about $6.99, so that should cover that. We're going to be reusing the rocker arms and installing a set of chromoly push rods from River City Diesel. Those are about $250. Now that we have the long block assembled, let's start talking about the power adders. Diesel Site makes a nice high-volume, high-pressure oil pump for $1,300 that will supply enough oil for the HyperMax injector that we'll be installing. We're going to send our injectors out to HyperMax, and they're going to modify them to about 250 cc's and 100% over nozzles, and that costs us about $2,400. This is a conventional style injector, not a hybrid, so we are still going to maintain good injection pressures. At this point, I'm going to bolt the engine back into the truck. And next thing we got to talk about, what are we going to do for turbochargers? Now, normally what I would have done is I would have picked out a couple of compounds, and then I would have priced out every piece of mandrel bent stainless steel tubing, V-band flange, and flex pipe, and said that I can weld up a custom fab setup at home. But that's probably not really reality for the purpose of this conversation.
Yeah, I wouldn't say that's very DIY.
It's not super DIY. And the other problem is I really haven't found anybody that has a good bolt-on 6-liter compound turbo kit. So this isn't something I would normally do, but we're going to do a single turbo, a non-VGT T4 style conversion, and we're going to use something along the lines of an S300 frame with 68 to 74 millimeter compressor. These combos you can pick up for about $2,000.
Now, hold on. 68 mil compressor, 74 mil turbine?
No, somewhere between 68 and 74 millimeter on the
okay.
compressor. I mean, either one, you can get it to do the job. Obviously, the smaller one is going to have better low-end performance, but the higher one is going to have more smoke and lower low-end performance.
Okay.
Obviously, we're going to need a regulated return fuel system to keep the fuel pressures in line. Oftentimes, we'll fabricate these kits in-house, but whether you do that or buy one of the other 50 options you have online, you're looking around $650. And couple that with a fast 200-gallon per minute fuel system for $820, we're going to have more than enough horsepower, or more than enough fuel for the horsepower mark. I Craigslisted an older SCT part number 3015 flash tuner for $100 and then called Matt at Gearhead to write me a custom tune. I never did talk to Matt, however, but one of his guys eventually emailed me a custom single tune file for $550. Now, I could sell my used turbocharger on Craigslist. However, I think I will search Pinterest for any ideas on how to turn it into a decorative, artsy lamp that will go on my coffee table. Now, that lamp kit's going to cost about $45. Shipping is included, so we're going to include that into our build.
Wow.
All in all, at the end of the day, we came up with about $27,472.99. which leaves us, around $2,500 left over for shipping, license plates, registration for the truck, or any other miscellaneous gaskets, which I already have in this price sheet. But leaves us a little bit of money left over, so maybe we'll go celebrate with a steak dinner or something.
Dude, I will definitely take a $2,500 steak dinner. I'm into that.
Well, there'll be more. There'll at least be 3 people coming along. It's a crew cab.
Can we reserve that for the winner? Reserve that $2,500 steak there.
All right, Danny boy, you are chomping at the bit. I want to let our listeners know, because you can't see this. Tim has, I'm approximating 4 sheets of paper printed off, very well organized, ready to roll. Nick has 1 sheet of paper and 1 scratch note. Danny has a fucking book.
Notice again that's the Cummins guy.
All right, Danny boy,
Cummins Bible. Let's hear it, Danny.
right.
the Book of Voss.
Verse
Go.
1.
As everybody knows, I used to buy, sell, and trade all over the country. So I took this episode very seriously because of what I used to do. It was fun, and I can't tell you how many times I was humbled and went back to the drawing board and said, "Man, it's not going to work. I had to find something different." I actually looked at a few trucks that I went to visit, and one of them I would refer to it as 50 Shades of Gray. It was not the truck I wanted to buy.
What?
It was a gray 06 Cummins.
Oh,
and
I thought you got an HJ in there.
No, the truck was literally, every panel was a different color gray. And you can't tell that stuff in the pictures. That's why I wanted to go and visit these trucks.
All right.
Does the color shades of the truck affect the horsepower on a Cummins?
It does not.
Okay.
We don't know the judging criteria, though, so...
Right.
Fair. I mean, you got to think, at
appreciate
the
your
end of the day,
dedication
I
there,
got to be
Dan.
willing to buy this.
Right.
Okay, this is something that I would want to buy, and this is something that I would want to sell. And if I'm going to do that, it's going to have to be in the book value, and it's going to have to make sense, because if you were listening to our Truck Buyer's Guide episode, it's got to make sense according to the NADA value. So, NADA value. So, what I did was, that was the first thing. I found a truck that was in book value. The guy had the truck for $11,500. I talked him down to $9,500, and I actually printed out the text if you guys want to look at it. I worked him down.
I hope
and-
that guy is listening to this.
And somebody said, "Aren't you kind of a dick for doing that, for wasting these guys' time?" I worked at a dealership for 7 years. I can't tell you how many guys wasted my time.
You officially got paid to do it, so you're a professional time waster.
You got it.
In the
I
most
did.
literal sense.
But I wanted this to be serious. Like, this truck was local to me. I drove to, the guy lived in Madison. We drove halfway. I met him, and I looked at it.
You drove halfway to fucking Madison
Well,
for this?
I was on the state line already because my condo's there, and I was there that night. I wanted to meet him and check it out. I was only there for about 15, 20 minutes, so it's not like I spent all night.
Where did you find this truck?
The truck actually was out of Madison, Wisconsin.
Well,
But-
I mean, what advertising?
on Craigslist.
Craigslist,
And I
okay.
have the actual ad.
Yeah.
So with that being said,
Yes.
I went to, I wanted to lay eyes on this thing. That's the big thing. People say, "Oh, you gotta make sure it is exactly what they're saying," and the truck wasn't really what he said. So
There's a
You mean
shock.
a $11,000 Cummins on Craigslist wasn't worth $11,000?
correct.
asking price.
Yeah.
Asking price
Yeah.
of 11,000.
Oh, we got down to 9. All right, so you got
Yep.
20 G's to play with, Danny.
I worked them a little bit and had fun with it, like I said. But when I went to the truck, before I went there, I actually printed out a history report to make sure this thing didn't have a salvage title or a branded title, and I got that right here. It was a 2-owner, 1-accident truck, and it had minor damage in the right rear, and the stake pocket. He must have had something strapped down when he got in the accident because it ripped the stake pocket out. The truck had a midshift bearing that was just loose. It was sloppy. The drive shaft needed some serious attention, and the injectors weren't what he said either. The injectors and the pump needed to be replaced. But I didn't care. I was going big on the injection system anyways. That was a bonus to me.
It's a Cummins. It's easy to work on.
Absolutely. And I got the history report here, and I also printed out the NADA value of the truck with 290,000 miles, which comes to $22,725. So a bank would give you that loan for this truck. $22,725 was the closest truck I could get to $30,000 and justify it. So when I got there, I noticed a few things, like I said, but there was rock chips, just your basic stuff. The truck was originally, he said in the ad, from Colorado. So when I ran the history report, it was not from Colorado. It was from Texas. I don't think the guy really knew. He just knew it was rust free.
It is a
And-
big state, either way.
Right. And, there was a couple bonuses on the truck. He had an exhaust, a few other things. But the truck, I would call, had Kentucky pinstripes. Looked like he'd been through the woods, you know. It's going to need some buff work, whatever. No big deal. I used to do some detailing in my day. Couple of door dings. Nothing
Nobody's gonna comment on Kentucky pinstripes. No, we're leaving that one alone, guys.
I'm just hoping we get to the mods.
I was going to say, I'm wondering when we're going to talk about
I just
what it's
wanted
gonna do.
I wanted to tell you what the truck was before I got into
He
it.
did just a little bit of research on the truck. He wants to talk about it. You know, all right. All right.
So
He
obvious-
did drive up there to look at it.
He's got a 2-week-old at home, and he went up to go drive and look at a truck for this episode. Let him talk about it, assholes.
Absolutely.
Right?
And I also want to show you guys the guy covered up his license plate in the picture of Craigslist with his thumb when he took the picture. I love that.
Classic.
Original.
I don't know why they do that. But getting into the build now, this is obviously the fun part. I wanted to do something that I work with every day. So I wanted to take a lot of the products that I deal with and put it into this build to make it make sense. So the very first thing, I want to lay the foundation down. I'm going for this almost 1,000 horsepower build. I spec'd out a transmission that can harness 1,000 horsepower. Been on the phone with Garen, talking to Phil here at the shop, getting it done. I went with a fully built transmission, a Garen torque converter, billet input, output, and intermediate shafts, triple disc Garen torque converter, a high pressure valve body with an upgraded GM solenoid, a Garen billet flex plate, and also a billet lever strut anchor. I have $6,700 into the trans, which was pretty easy for me to do because I have a lot of money because I have 30 grand obviously I can spend. So I wanted to make sure the very first thing that people have problems with was taken care of, which was that transmission. That was a huge deal to me. The build went on and on. I have to say I want to give a big shout out to the guys that deal with us all the time. We got the McEwen boys. We got Danny McEwen, Sean Kaiser. All these guys have been on our show. Dwight Kroon. Downing. I took a lot of their little pieces of their puzzle and put it to mine. I kind of took the best of all their worlds and made it mine. And I just want to say thank you to those guys for talking to me on Facebook and letting me bounce a few ideas off you. So first things first, I got in the fuel system. I went with 100 over injectors through Exergy, called up Rob. He's like, hey, Danny, you know, this is how much they are with a 12 mil pump and 100 overs. And this is all retail pricing. I didn't want to give myself any discounts or anything like that on the trans or anything. So this is what any average person off the street could buy this for. I have $6,013 into the 100 overs and the 12 mil.
As per the rules of this episode.
Right.
Right.
So
Absolutely.
we're gonna cheat to
I
break
wasn't
the rules.
right, but it's easy to do.
He did ask me to post Dwight McEwen's truck for sale so he could just buy it for $25 and call it a day. No, I'm just joking. Only Tim Slater would do that.
Yeah,
Never mind.
no.
My bad.
I just
I
wonder
didn't.
what Daniel McEwen's gonna say when he finds out you called him Dwight on the episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. He's gonna.
Shit, you're fucked.
Yeah.
my bad, brother.
Thank you for saying that, though. Thank you for bringing that up. Don't worry, Nick's got your back. Obviously, I got the trans. I got the fuel system in place. I'll talk about the turbos. I blew me away when I had a customer make 950 horsepower with an S480 over stock twin kit. Unbelievable setup. Very simplistic, in my opinion. It's nothing crazy. The piping through WC Fab is just absolutely gorgeous, and to be able to make 900, he actually made 948 horsepower at the rear wheel with that same setup. And I printed out his dyno sheet right here that I asked for him, and the torque number was 1,485 foot-pounds of torque. And
That's a rubber, huh?
She's got a little bit of go to her.
absolutely, and that was before he drilled out the stock charger to a 1-inch to drive the S480 a little harder. So in the wastegate, and he's going to do that and report back to me what he's going to dyno, but that's not going to be that much. A few other things. I got into the head a little bit. I did 110-pound valve springs and push rods, Hamilton push rods. I've got all the prices here as well. I've got $1,123 into that with a set of head studs. I went stud for stud on the head because I didn't want to, have to do anything crazy. I just wanted to ask a few buddies for help. I went stud for stud. Maybe you guys will tear me up a little bit right there. I think that's the only spot where
We won't have to. It'll do it itself.
absolutely, but we'll worry about that when we get there.
Said the guy who quoted one time he'll have to get into the cylinders, right? One time.
I'll probably turn around and sell the truck, you know?
Oh yeah, probably lose at least 15 on that one.
You mean
Sorry, Danny. No,
you mean
let's
high
not
horsepower
get
builds?
into that yet.
There is a time for rebuttals, gentlemen.
Okay.
There is a time for
Okay.
rebuttals. All right, Danny, we're sorry. You got
So I
an
got my-
S480
yep.
stocker twin kit.
Yep.
You got Hamilton,
Valve springs.
110-pound valve springs, and you got some
Push
rods in there.
Yep.
What's next?
What's next? I told you guys that drive shaft was pretty sloppy. It's a quad cab long bed, white. Kind of funny you said that. So it's obviously a super long drive shaft, and to turn that type of power, I wanted to make sure that was secure because we've had drive shaft failures on our dyno, and what a mess. And I'll tell you, that will just destroy the whole build right there. And I put a 1480 U-joint up front in the drive shaft and a 1550 in the rear. And then I went with a 2-inch center spline section to try to beef that up a little bit. And I feel like that'll be good for a period of time. And I'll always check it and make sure, because that's something that I'm very paranoid on, if that was my truck, really. One nice thing about this truck was it had fresh wheel bearings up front, fresh U-joints. The guy spent money on brakes, all new brakes. The front tires were brand new. So you knew that he had front-end problems before he wanted to sell it, because it was a telltale sign for me. If you got fresh front tires on this thing, they were all chopped and they were tore up. So he's trying to fix these things to sell his truck. He advertised that he had a new reman transmission in there too, which I didn't care. I was just going to rebuild it anyways. But it was interesting because every Dodge, 06, 07, or whatever, even every Dodge is going to have front-end problems typically.
Death wobble.
You got that. You got ball joints, U-joints. The list goes on. I'm sure you guys know. To carry it further, I wanted to monitor everything. I ran an Edge CTS2 with a probe. I got $429 into the Edge with $129 into the probe. And that's obviously going to help me in the long run just to make sure everything's running like it should be. I went with Calibrated Power's tuning, the King tuning, and I tell you, with the tuning and the twin kit that I had $4,523 into everything there. So I got the twin kit bought, and I got the tuning in there as well. So it's kind of funny, Nick. You're going to help me beat you here by tuning my truck for me.
yeah.
Oh, no.
Dyno
So-
rates just went up, Danny.
I know. Hey. Something that I thought was really, really cool. I love drag racing and truck pulling. This is something that I wanted to take to the track. I got a lot of experience this year pulling with the clean sweep, and you know I'm going to have this thing on the dirt if I owned it. And I wanted to be able to show everybody in the stock class that this truck is going to stomp you, because I pulled against trucks with twins, like Pete Shibby, for example. He came with the Whirly Custom truck pulling against me in a stock class. Nobody cares around here about what you have. And I'm going to enter this thing. I'll be that guy for a week. I don't care.
Dick.
Yeah. But as far as drag racing numbers, I got a time slip here. This truck is no slouch on the drag strip, running a 1.68 60 foot, 10.94 quarter mile.
Whose truck was that based off of? Because this is a hypothetical build.
This is actually a build. This is Daniel McEwen's.
Quad cab. Long bed?
Quad kit, short bed.
Okay. But I mean, that gives us a real damn close ballpark on it.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Awesome. So you have dyno numbers, you have personal references, you have time slips.
Yep.
What's your total, Danny?
I'm right there. I maxed her out pretty good. My total, I actually had a little wiggle room because of fluids. I had a couple, gaskets, intake manifold gasket, a few other small little things that I priced out. I was at $29,633.99. I tapped it out.
Oh, I'll tell you, that's still a $300 steak dinner. Which,
Well-
if you go by yourself, is like the best one you've ever had. I hope.
Not if you want a lamp.
0 lamps in that building.
I have never been on Pinterest, and I don't ever want to be. So. But I'll tell you, I have to have 5% window tint on everything I own. It's just kind of my thing, I guess. And I blacked it out. My buddy said he'd do it for $150. And just for Paul, I put a large Cummins big C sticker on the back window for $20.
You did not fucking go to Big C.
I put it in my build. Just for you, Paul, because I know how much you hate those stickers.
Oh my God.
If you're going to own a Cummins.
Mirrors up, Big C going,
Actually-
950 horse.
And can't see because of the window tints. at
Right,
night.
of course, right.
It was not the big flip-out mirrors or little Mickey Mouse mirrors that's on the truck.
Danny, anything else before we move on here?
There can't possibly be anything else.
I did go with a Coolant Bypass Kit. So we got those for $415. I wanted that, so I'm not blowing freeze plugs out of this block. Very important to me to do that. Also, I have a lift pump that I had on my build. Obviously, you can't have this type of power without a lift pump. But I just wanted to go back to the purchase. I put in tax, title, and license on this. So if I were to buy this truck, I actually priced out what it would cost me for tax, title, and license. So
Does anybody else have tax title license on their build?
Negative.
Hope you boys got some money left over.
Well, I do.
Well, you do.
Yeah.
You got some room.
Yeah.
Okay. Danny, I feel like once we're down to tax title and license, I can cut you off. We can say you have spec'd us your
It's
bill.
over.
I
feel
don't.
like Nick's ready.
I'll come. I have a few more cards up my sleeve, but I'll come back to that. But just so you guys know, I just want to tell you. So, the truck books out 23 grand. Okay.
Does anybody actually think that a 290,000 mile Dodge would go for that?
I will get to that. I'm
Okay.
getting to that. I'm glad you said that.
If anybody in the room knows, I guess it would be this guy.
I am so glad
I
you
mean,
brought
to be
that
fair.
up.
He sold my dad a car.
Is this the rebuttal phase? Or
no,
am I-
no. Hold on. Fair enough.
Aren't you the
Danny,
host?
Danny, your build is done.
Okay.
Thank you for submitting.
Yeah,
we will
thank
get
you
back
guys.
to we will
All
get
right.
back to rebuttal and final comments.
10-4.
Nick,
Hopefully, I'll be able to leave before that. No, I'm glad. Thank you for inviting me on this build, and for reminding me an hour before this was to air that I should prepare for it. So.
to be fair, you did get 2 meetings a week apart. Oh no, you didn't come to our Wednesday meeting. That's
Yeah,
where you missed.
yeah,
the other
no
heads.
sweat.
No, okay, perfect. You got an hour heads up.
Yeah, which is fair.
Plenty.
I found this immaculate per Auto Trader 2006 Silverado crew cab, short bed, black. It's got a moonroof on it. Leather. Does have tan leather, so I probably wouldn't buy this exact truck, but it's pretty close. Okay, so 290,000 miles. Whatever, is what it is. We're going to replace the CP3 and injectors, so as long as it passes a compression test, I'm okay with it. I feel like I should say 10 more things based on our last rundown, but I'm going to cut to the quick here. So transmission, DMAX 6, converter. I mean, any triple disc converter will work. We'll go with the Garand. That's what we use, the Garand X. So we got $3,500 in the transmission and parts. I guess I'm going to build it myself because that's what this episode's about. In reality, I'll probably have DJ do it. As far as the fuel system goes, I'm going to do a 10 millimeter pump and a set of 60% over injectors. I got $2,000 in the pump. I got $1,800 in the injectors. I'm just going to assume that my injectors are good because they got 290,000 miles on them.
Why wouldn't they be?
So they're probably perfect. While we're in there doing the injectors and pump, we're also going to remove the stock turbocharger. I'm going to go ahead and sell that for $300
Nice.
for a core.
That's a Pete Shibby move.
You're not
right
going to
there.
make a lamp out of it?
Not going to make a
Pete
lamp
Shibby
out of
move.
it.
Right.
I'm going to install a Stealth 67.
Okay.
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 Nice.
And then any associated plumbing. So Y-bridge, piping, assorted goodies. I'm also going to do a down pipe and a set of up pipes. And really, that's a very straightforward top-end setup. So no twin turbos, nothing crazy. Don't have to do motor mounts. I'm not going to take a valve cover off the engine because I like rolling dice.
No man's land, baby.
No man's land. I'm going to be tuning this truck, so it's
Yeah.
going to live.
10-4.
Ask Daniel McEwen again. If we're going to bring up Daniel McEwen, he had 50 passes on his at this power level. So, ECM and TCM tuning, DSP5. I will charge myself to tune it by myself. and a CTS. I got $1,200 into that setup. I might be a little short on that. May have to add a probe. Traction bars at $650, and So the truck was $14 on Craigslist. I got $13,650 in mods. If I can get my 10% off my Craigslist ad, right? So I'm roughly $26,500 right there. You know, the LBZ is appreciating in value. I don't know if you guys know this or not.
I do.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Could you repeat that sentence?
It's a highly sought after unit.
Okay.
All right.
He said unit.
In order to further improve its resale value, I'm going to add a set of badass wheels and tires to it, right? Because this is what this build is about. It's about street presence. So I got a 750 horsepower truck. I can't be riding around on PYOs. At least that's what you guys all tell me.
We do actually have to tell Nick this.
Yeah. Yes. So I got Jim Rennet to hook me up with the Hostile sprockets, the 20x10s with some. I had to put Nitto G2s on them because I'm not gonna drive on any sort of other street tire. So that puts me right at the number, man. That's my build. And with any luck, I'll be in the 725, 740 horse range, turned down just a little bit from what it could do. Back some timing out of it. Keep it alive. So.
Okay, perfect. So we got a few different questions out here, and I know if I was one of the competitors, my favorite part of this episode when I did it was tearing the other people apart. And we're going to call that the rebuttal phase. So I'm going to kick it around to each one of you, and you're going to get to tell me why the other two guys' builds are a terrible idea. So this is literally just your chance to sling mud. Who wants to go first?
I'll sling some mud first.
Ooh, Danny was on it.
So
Danny in the Book of Cummins, go.
I got to give you credit for having a low mileage 6.0. So that's going to help your book value if you go to try to resell this thing. My question to myself is always, what is it worth, even if it has a million mods on it or nothing, or bone stock? So having that, I would say that your book value is far away from 30 grand. You just wasted $15,000 of your own money, and the truck's not worth it. Nobody in their right mind is going to pay 30 grand for that truck.
Shots fired.
Nick, 290,000 miles, having a 30 grand truck, 750 horse LBZ that's mint like that. It sounds pretty nice, rust free, and some sprockets on it. Especially if Jim Rendon owned it. I mean, it's got to be worth more.
Dude, I'll open an Instagram account for this truck.
There you go.
Those are hideous rims, by the way.
You're not a fan or what?
No, I mean, they're nicer than mine, but, you know.
Yeah, the 780 people who liked my first Instagram photo don't agree with you.
Oh, yeah. All right. Well,
There's that.
Good for those 780 people to all be wrong. That's amazing. I'm sorry, Danny, you were rebuttaling. Go.
It's just, with the Cummins, I keep seeing these trucks come in. They're 900 to 1,000 horsepower with a stock bottom end. We're talking about no man's land. And, boy, skating around that territory seems just awesome to me because being in the LBZ world like Nick's dealing with now, I know that 750 is really pushing the limits. And I feel like there's more in it than the 950 if I did a few smaller things. But I don't want to gamble like that. That's the top of my number I want to hit. But at the drag strip and the truck pulls, I'm taking home the bacon, baby. You know, so if you guys pull against me or drag race, I mean, it's going to be tough to beat the long bed over here with the Cummins. A few other things that I forgot to mention too is we did the map sensor that we can actually clean up a lot of the smoke. We have the ability to tune these Cummins with this new 10-bar map sensor, and I also put that in my build. And I thought that was really awesome.
That was very nice of you, Danny.
Yeah.
Does that just tweak you since you just taught us about that like 2 weeks ago in a Lunch and Learn, Nick, where you're like, I taught these guys this.
I feel like I'm getting a little bit of friendly fire over here. Yeah.
But I'll tell you, I wanted a truck where I'm not smoking out the whole entire crowd at the drag strip. I'm running this 10-second pass, and it's super clean power. And people love that aspect just right there.
Okay. How about other rebuttals? Why else? Tim, why should I not choose the Cummins or the Duramax?
Well, the Cummins. you know me, I'm not a big Cummins fan. So I'm really all I got on you, Danny, and this is pretty weak, I'll admit this, is that it sounds like Bigfoot farting in a garbage can. That's all I can say at this point. I do have a problem with 200, and you said yours was 290,000?
290, yep.
290, yeah.
Yep.
I have a problem with any Dodge still being on the road at 290,000 miles. So I question the integrity of the rest of the truck. But as far as the Duramax goes, mileage, it's gonna hurt. And we do know that the bottom end and everything is going to be a little bit iffy on the Duramax. That's pretty much what I got.
All right. Nick, why should I not think about this Cummins or this Powerstroke?
I mean, as much as Danny's super long, as much as both of these fuckers' super long-winded builds irk me a little bit deep inside, they are strong trucks. They're well thought out. I really don't have any knock. I don't think I can knock the Cummins at all, other than the typical Dodge shit, right? Like, I'm not going to have the heated seat. I'm not going to have a seat that's not wearing on my left thigh the whole time I'm driving the truck.
True story.
It was replaced. The bolster was replaced, and it actually was. I am not kidding.
He's so fucking ready for it.
And
He's like, he
and-
has a little note over there that says when Nick brings up Dodge seat, right?
and power windows and locks, by the way.
Our windows and locks. The 6.0, I mean, the resale value on any of these trucks is going to be crap, but I feel like the resale value on the 6.0 is going to be especially shit. So that's my only knock on yours.
I gotta say, resale value in any of these should not apply, because if anybody is building any of this to resell it, you're not going to be in business very long. And then the other thing I got to mention with the 6-liter is, one, it has a Pioneer touchscreen, which I personally don't like, but I know a lot of people do. And it had a spare fuel filter sitting on the center console.
So a lamp and a fuel filter come with
Lamp
your
and a
build.
fuel. Well, no, the lamp's mine. I just figured I'd add that in the build. I'm going to keep that.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
All
no,
right.
I mean, I'm just saying I'm
You
going to
don't
pay
get that
for
part.
it.
I don't get
yeah,
that, right?
Yeah, I'm not selling it. Yeah, the lamp's not for sale. But the other thing is, you know, how can you beat the 6-liter sound? You know, I mean, it's hard to beat. Everybody's heard a
Are you
Dodge
trying to
come
sell
down
us
the
three
road.
on this
You
right
beat
now?
it at the
You
drag
know what
strip.
room you're
And
in?
what are you, Charlie Keeter over here? I mean,
Hey, it's all for those Main Street drags, man.
Oh my God, Paul! Please tell us what the criteria
Wait,
are that you'll
just-
be judging.
real quick. So, real quick. I'd like
Somebody unplug his microphone.
my truck books out NADA retail value with 290,000 miles for 22,000.
Who the fuck buys that truck for $22,000?
Well,
never gonna happen.
I took it a step further than that.
Hold on, did you ever sell a truck with 293,000 miles on it for $22,000?
Absolutely.
Get the fuck out! You rip somebody off.
So, with that being said, I took it a step further and made a Craigslist ad of my build and put it for sale. So, I actually have it for sale for $35,000.
So he could come down 10% and still be over.
Did anybody call you, Danny?
Actually, I put it up 2 nights ago, and I got a phone call, and it was pretty cool.
The guy left a voicemail and just said, "Hey, call me back if
And-
you're willing to take 18." But
Then I deleted the ad because I didn't want the guy that has the actual truck for sale to see it and say, what the hell is this guy doing?
That's kind of like the phone call we got saying, what does it cost to overhaul this 350 Chevy motor? And between $2,000 and $3,000, and then, okay, thanks, click.
perfect. Love those. Okay, reliability. So I'd like you each to very quickly just speak a little bit to the reliability of your build. So do you know somebody else who has had a truck that was similar and it stayed together? Do you feel like this is a one dyno pass or a full season of sled pulling? Go ahead, Tim.
Yeah, no, actually, on the reliability aspect, and I know I'm going to get some funny looks here, but we've addressed a lot of the issues with the 6-liter with the turbocharger and the injectors and the high-pressure oil pump and the different gaskets. So actually, with the transmission that's in it, I would have no qualms about driving that daily, going to the drag strip, throw it on the dyno a couple of times. I wouldn't have any problems with it.
Any responses to a 6-liter reliability with the build, Tim, recommended?
I never paid much attention to 6.0 anything, so I
Danny boy, nothing down there? Nothing about the 6-liter. Danny literally has the second half of his book in his hand.
I really appreciate
God
the,
help us
the
all.
6 liters. I really do, because I've seen them run really well, and I think that you're onto something, but I can't justify it with the resale. That was my biggest hang-up was, what can I sell this thing for when I'm done? And that's why I kept going back to the drawing board so many times, pulling my hair out.
All right, Danny, reliability on your Cummins build. You got 2 minutes.
I mean, I got a built trans. I have a solid front end. I have U-joints set up, nice solid drive shaft. I've got the pump, the injectors, everything to do so. And I'm just going to go out and have fun. And the only thing I have to worry about is leaving the rubber on the tires.
The only reliability issue is rubber on the tires. And that leads us to Nick.
I would quickly rebut to Danny that he has front-end repair bills coming again in 10,000 miles.
Well,
Agreed.
I really wanted to squeeze this into my budget build. This RCV front end, it's $2,295. I tried so hard to squeeze it, but I couldn't do everything I wanted. So after I went a couple,
How much was the tint?
Oh, that was $150.
Okay.
But
Right.
I wanted.
Well, that would have been $150 towards something useful.
Okay. Am I going to recommend that you go out and sled pull this truck for the next 5 years? Probably not. Okay, you got 2 years of competition on my build, and then you're going into the motor.
Okay.
You wanted the answer
Okay,
on
no,
reliability?
I
I'm
like
not going to
it.
bullshit you. You got 2 years of competition on the build, and then plan on doing a motor. It depends on how you drive it otherwise. If you're Jim Rendon, you have 2 years.
Right.
Right?
Right.
If you're any normal person, same as any other LBZ.
Gotcha. Okay, could go quite a bit longer. All right. Guys, that's everything that I had questions on. Any final statements, anything that you didn't get to say, and I'm going to leave Danny out. So we'll go Nick. Any final statements about the LBZ, any final pitch?
My final pitch, Paul, is picture yourself in that.
A black stock rim loaded LBZ.
No, you got sprockets on.
I
there.
got sprockets on. Never
And
mind.
you got 750 horse. Have you ever driven Chuck Dilley's truck?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, just subtract 150 horsepower, and that could be you.
He's still stuck in
Chuck Dilley
the
is
Civic
having
mode.
an aneurysm when he hears this, and you said his truck is a $30,000 budget build.
Yeah.
Because I do know the difference. I just want to let you. I do work right.
There's a
I work around
reliability
this.
difference here as well.
A little bit. Tim, final statements.
I'm the only one here that doesn't have a common rail. I was going to go with a common rail, but that leaves
that
me.
would have been smart.
Well, would it have been smart? Truly, I have to disagree with that because if I buy a 6.4 and keep it in budget and make it 600 or 750 horsepower, it is absolutely going to blow up.
Zero reliability.
Zero reliability.
I agree.
It is
I totally
without
agree.
with 100% certainty. So could I do it? Yes, I could easily get 750 horsepower out of a 6.4. There's no question about that. But I'd have to buy a truck that's got a ton of miles on it because they're newer. And with a ton of miles on it, it's got a ton of regens on it. It's got a ton of everything else on it. And they just don't have a good reputation in stock trim. So that being said, I was forced to go something older and older technology and different platform. But the reliability aspect of it, I would put my build up against any of these three, and I don't think it would come in last by any means. Stop looking at me like that.
The room just falls silent of everybody waiting for the guy next to them to yell bullshit. But I'll do it. Bullshit. I'm sorry. Go ahead, Danny. Final thoughts.
If I melt the piston down, I have a buddy with 259 Cummins motors, roughly 150,000 miles on it. He said he'd sell me one for $1,200. So God forbid if something happened, I'm $1,200 more in the hole, and plus my time and labor.
And all the other parts go along with that.
Yeah, just swap it out.
Just swap it out.
Yeah, bolt for bolt, stud for stud, I'm sorry.
Stud
Yep.
for stud. Cylinder wall's probably fine.
Okay. I do have a few notes on each build here, so I'm going to go in reverse order. So Nick, 200 and something thousand mile LBs,
290.
290. So 300. 2 years on that? Come on, man. I question that.
Larry
Fresh
LePan
fuel
I
does
system.
it.
question that.
Larry LePan's doing it.
Larry LePan is doing it. Is he 290,000 miles though?
Dude, this thing's seasoned. It doesn't have a tune on it.
See, now that he posted it on Craigslist, he took his edge juice with attitude
It's
off.
been 290 babied miles.
Right, babied miles. I've written Craigslist posts before. You realize that, right? I know how full of shit they are.
All right.
Danny, a lot of research over there. A lot of research. I do question the exact same thing. We saw Chris Emke with his personal truck with 290,000 miles at a horsepower level slightly less than this. he was trying some experimental things, which probably were more to his detriment than his benefit. However, I do still question. I mean, a lot of these trucks, we see them make these big horsepower numbers. We kind of consider them rolling hand grenades, right? We don't know when the pin was pulled. We just know that it's live. So it could go anytime. The 6-liter Tim, I mean, anybody who's ever listened to the podcast knows I have a bias against 6 liters.
Well, that's clear.
I think you put a nail in the coffin, though, when you said, like, well, it's not like I could go newer with Ford stuff because that's even worse.
No, not Ford stuff.
I
just
just
the 6.4.
I think that was like a huge, you were like, how could I shoot my foot with a gun in my hand right now? And then you did it.
Listen, I love 6.4s. Don't get me wrong, but there's just no way.
They're just garbage, right?
They're not garbage. There's just no way I'm going to build a reliable $30,000 750 horsepower 6.4. There's no way it's going to happen, and I don't want anybody.
I wholeheartedly agree. I don't know why you're talking like you're arguing. I agree with you.
Yeah, it's not
You
that
are
I
correct.
don't like the 6.4. I love the 6.4.
Yeah,
it is
who wouldn't love massive unreliability?
Well, next month, the $60,000 budget build, you can bring up the 6.4.
That sounds like a great plan.
I do think, and we're going to post something on the Facebook page. We'll let our listeners come up with who they feel like won today's topic. I feel like Danny definitely showed up with the most background. Danny definitely showed up with the most verifiable evidence. I think he was a clear winner today, gentlemen.
The most evidence that doesn't have anything to do with 750 horsepower. What was the criteria, by the way?
750 horsepower minimum.
No, you're judging. Did we hear that yet?
There
What
was
you were
some
judging it
element
for?
of reliability, but the rest of it went away with the halfway through the second beer.
Okay. Because I'm just wondering, we
true
had
story.
window tints, we had seat upholstery and all
I know.
that stuff.
Yeah, none
I
of
just
that.
did-
None of
okay,
that. I would have
okay,
done none of
yeah.
that. Yes, yes. If
Let me-
That was just
Let me be the
obvious things.
first to congratulate Danny on a well put together truck. He did a very nice job. So good job, Danny. I could have gone without the 10 minutes of the Kentucky flare side fucking pinstripe, but your truck would be strong. I would be proud to drive that truck, and yeah. I will. I think Danny, definitely deserves some credit there.
Absolutely.
I'll throw congratulations at you.
Thanks, fellas. That was a pleasure to do this with you. But I don't have to drive it at 950 horse every day. I do have a CSP switch in it where I can dumb it down.
He doesn't
Are you
stop,
sure
dude.
you budgeted the $75 for
Oh.
the CSP switch?
It's in there, brother.
All right, guys. Thank you so much for listening to today's $30,000 budget build episode.
If you'd like a copy of this episode, send $30,000 to
Paul Wilson.
Paul Wilson at 9
Just
care
look
of
me up on
Calibrated Power
Facebook.
Solutions.
Yeah. That sounds good too. No, but for real, guys, we do definitely have a blog posted up on Diesel Tuners blog. You'll be able to go in and download everybody's build list and get all of the information about the builds we recommended today, along with any details you need about product info. Tim,
Yes.
where are you from, bud?
Oh, yeah. Centurion Fleet Services out of Hampshire, Illinois.
Excellent. You got a phone number over there, or do you
Yeah.
guys just do smoke signals?
No smoke signals. 847-683-2255.
Excellent. And Nick?
Calibrated Power Solutions, as always, 815-568-7920.
And this has been Paul Wilson.
And I'm Danny Voss.
Thank you so much for listening.
Calibrated Power Solutions, the leading North American developer of clean diesel power and home of DuramaxTuner.com, is the proud sponsor of the Diesel Performance Podcast. Calibrated Power develops emissions and quick tunes for a wide variety of diesel powertrains, including the Duramax, Cummins, Jeep, John Deere, and many more. For more information and the best customer service in the industry, check out calibratedpower.com or call 815-568-7920. That's 815-568-7920. To reach out to the Diesel Performance Podcast, send us a message through Facebook or email Paul at DuramaxTuner.com or Danny at DuramaxTuner.com.
I knew I had some big dogs here to go against. And the bigger the dog, the bigger the bite.
All right.
And I had to come prepared.